leading up to this offseason, we were so incredibly excited to see the Splash Bros back together. Then Klay got hurt again. So disappointing to see, but we're going to talk about what the Warriors do without Klay this season, and in the future we're going to talk about how this team gels, what they can do, if they can make any noise in the West. So if you would like an outlook video like this for your team, make sure you check out my channel. I definitely have a ton already made, and I got a ton on the way. So subscribe, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and then we'll hop straight into the video right now. So with the Warriors, I'm going to go through their lineup. We're going to talk about how much noise they can really make in the West, and then their outlook for the future, right? So Steph Curry at the 1, obviously the top point guard in the game when he's healthy. He will turn any team into a borderline championship. I mean, a borderline playoff team at least. This team could definitely be carried by Steph Curry into the playoffs. Andrew Wiggins at the 2. He's just a bona fide scorer. You know, we wish we could see a lot more from him on the defensive side. But if you're looking at what the Warriors do, they score the ball, and this, I mean, he fits in well. Kelly Oubre at the 3. They brought him in to fill in for Klay Thompson. I think it's interesting, and not a lot of people know this, is that Kelly Oubre is making $16 million a year. In order to bring them in with the luxury tax, the Warriors are spending $80 million. So by no means are the Warriors content with, you know, maybe just being an 8 seed or falling barely out of the playoffs. They want to win. Draymond Green at the 4. I think with Steph Curry on the court, he can return back to closer to his former self. We saw him struggle heavily last year. And I think it's because he turned into the best player on that team, essentially. So I would like to see him do a little bit better. And then the rookie James Wiseman, a ton of potential. Maybe the most ready right now out of this draft class, and definitely a great pickup. We've seen that the Warriors have struggled with their big man position. That's really the only thing, is that their center position has struggled over the last half decade or so. And they bring in James Wiseman, who is definitely an amazing pickup. And then off the bench, they got guys like Damian Lee, Jordan Poole, Ken Bazemore, Eric Pascal, and Marquise Chris played very, very good last year. So I definitely expect to see the same production from them. Marquise Chris especially, he played very, very well. Which, I mean, Eric Pascal played better, but it wasn't as much of a roller coaster. Marquise Chris got cut, got picked back up, still showed out. So that big man position now is actually flourishing for the Warriors. So we're going to break down the starting lineup a little bit more. This team will score, just straight up score the basketball. They're missing a lot on defense. Kelly Oubre is a solid defender. Draymond Green is a solid defender. James Wiseman can hold down the paint, but this team definitely is missing some perimeter defense for sure with guys like Steph and Wiggs. Definitely that bench guard you'd hope would have a little more defense to bring in, but they really don't with Damian Lee and Jordan Poole, especially Poole. He cannot play a lick of defense. So this team is definitely going to be a bottom 10 team in defense, in my opinion. And then even as you get farther on the bench, Bazemore, Pascal, and Chris are all undersized for their position, all can't play defense as well as you'd like. So, you know, this team will struggle defensively. That'll be the death of them. But you're looking at playmaking, you're looking at scoring. Wiggins can do it in a ton of ways. Obviously, we know who Steph Curry is. Kelly Oubre can score on all 3 levels. Draymond Green has definitely struggled. I think with the court a little more open, as I alluded to earlier, Draymond Green will be back to maybe averaging a little over 10, maybe getting 7 boards and a few assists. He's definitely a great playmaker at the 4. He's super undersized, so good for him making as much noise as he did. But in order to live up to his expectations, he needs to be averaging 10, 5, and 5 at the very minimum. And I do think he could do that with the court being more open. And then James Wiseman at the 5, I think he'll get a ton of post touches. I think they're going to run more of a 4 out, 1 in. He can stretch the floor if he needs to. This team is super versatile on the offensive side of the ball. I think that's awesome. They have playmaking throughout 1 through 4, really. They can shoot the ball, and they can score at all 3 levels. I just think that the defense will kill them. The question really is this a playoff team? And I think this fits right in with my last video with the Suns. I mean, they're not as talented as the Suns, but this will be one of those 4 or 5 teams that are fighting for that 8 seed in the West. It'll come down to the last game. Obviously, we're assuming that they're healthy. It'll come down to like the last week or so, and this could be a team that we see barely miss the playoffs. In my opinion, I think that they barely miss the playoffs. And if you think Steph Curry will carry this team to a playoffs, I could totally see that. I could totally agree with that. I really think it depends on how this team does defensively. And I think the biggest X factor for this team is Draymond Green. I could see James Wiseman winning a Rookie of the Year, Steph Curry having an amazing year, and that's still not enough for them to make the playoffs, simply because we don't know what Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson are going to develop into. Are they now a top 5 duo top 7 duo at least in the NBA, depending on how they developed this offseason. What will the Rockets do with James Harden? As I'm recording this, James Harden hasn't been traded. It's the 9th of December, so I don't know. If you guys know something I don't, I know it too at this point, I guess. This team is super interesting, and I've said it in every single video. You guys are getting tired of it, I know. But the NBA is going to be amazing next year. The Suns, the Wizards, the Warriors, the Kings, all sorts of teams. And I know that the Wizards are, an Eastern Conference team. But all these teams will be fighting in their respective conferences for a playoff spot. And, it's honestly, at the end of the day, it comes down to a little bit of luck and health and how you play night in and night out, because you can't have off nights in today's NBA. You can't have off nights. We got a 72-game season instead of 82. You can't have a bad game where you're losing to a team like the Hornets, who also might make the playoffs, surprisingly. You can't lose to the Knicks, right? Like, you can't throw games away like that. So I guess whoever wins more of those games will find themselves in the playoffs at the end of the year. So definitely stay tuned. I think that this year is going to be super excited. One thing I haven't talked about is how this channel is going to work as we get into the NBA season. I really do want to keep on pumping videos out for you guys night in and night out, talking about the outlooks of the NBA in general, what's happening, the interesting topics, trades and signings, obviously. But I think that this channel will be super fun as the season gets started. And until then, I'm going to keep on dropping a variety of video for you guys. I have a video coming out soon that will be like a test, a quiz kind of thing. Obviously, I'm trying to get outlooks for every single team. I might throw in some fantasy basketball. Just let me know in the comments. And I would absolutely love to produce these videos for you guys. This is what I love to do. So if you guys have any ideas on what you'd like to see specifically, I'll deliver for you. Just drop it in the comments. And I'll see you guys in the next one. All right? Peace.